Now I'm pleased to introduce our second speaker. Tammy Duckworth was elected to the United States Senate in 2016 following a highly distinguished and diverse career in the U.S. Army, as the director of the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, as Assistant Secretary of Veterans Affairs in the Obama administration, and a two-term representative for Illinois' 8th Congressional District. Senator Duckworth attended the University of Hawaii, received her master's degree in international affairs across the river at the George Washington University, and obtained her first PhD in political science at Northern Illinois University, and her second PhD in human services at Capella University. She served in the Army Reserve for 23 years as a helicopter pilot, and she was among the first Army women to fly combat missions during Operation Iraqi Freedom. She sustained serious injuries in 2004 when her helicopter was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, and she spent a year in recovery at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Her experience at Walter Reed made her a passionate advocate for veterans' issues. This advocacy led to her Illinois and national positions in Veterans Affairs, and she has sponsored legislation in the House and Senate designed to improve veterans' mental health services, reduce suicide, and support veteran-owned small businesses. And she had another noteworthy accomplishment in 2018 when she became the first senator to give birth while serving in office, which the working parents among us can truly appreciate. Senator Duckworth, thank you for your multifaceted service, which has directly benefited a large portion of the people gathered here today, including myself. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Thank you. I think my mom wrote that introduction. Hello, everyone. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. There is nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than here with you today, honoring the heroism of those who serve and the diversity that has helped make our nation so great for so long. I was told that the theme of today's celebration is courage. Well, that's an easy one. From cadets to four-star generals, from DoD technicians to SES, you all personify courage every single day. Time after time, you've put country over self, proving what should have been obvious long ago, that who you are and who you love has no bearing on your ability to defend the country you love. And it's been 50 years to the month since hundreds of people gathered outside a tavern in New York City refusing to be silenced, refusing to be belittled, refusing to adhere to a status quo that treated them as less than. Those 5 days of protest at Stonewall helped herald a movement that hasn't just made America a better, fairer place, but has also made our nation safer and our military stronger. Because make no mistake, our armed forces are stronger because of the people who serve, regardless of who they love. People like Tech Sergeant Leonard Matlovich, who at the age of 19 voluntarily deployed to Vietnam, enduring the horrors of Da Nang and earning a Purple Heart for his service before publicly coming out and legally challenging the military's discrimination against people like himself. Well aware of the bigotry he'd face, but convinced that it was his duty to make it easier for any gay service member to follow him. Or people like Major Margaret Witt, a decorated Air Force flight nurse who went from saving troops' lives during Desert Storm to helping end Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Our nation is better off because of the sacrifices of the countless LGBTQ Americans who risked their lives for the rest of us, even while they were forced to hide a part of who they are. And this past year alone, our loved ones could sleep more soundly because of the 14,700 transgender American service members working every day to help keep all of us safe. Heroes like Captain Jennifer Peace, Lieutenant Commander Blake Drummond, Staff Sergeant Patricia King, and our Illinois' own Tech Sergeant Alexandria Holder, all of whom we're lucky to have with us here today. Leaders like Chief Warrant Officer Lindsay Mueller, who has served with honor and dignity for nearly 2 decades, who has risked her life mission after mission day after day for this nation that we love, but who, in her own words, now feels like this country is turning its back on her and telling her that she's now a burden, because while she chose to be an Army pilot, she just happens to be transgender. Well, I've lived my entire life, like many of you, under an oath to protect and defend this nation, first by flying helicopters and now as a senator. So keeping our nation the strongest that it can possibly be means something to me as it does to you. But the truth is, this president's transgender ban will only do the opposite. As heartless as it is dangerous, it will hamper troops' morale and hurt readiness. This ban wrecks the same kind of bigotry that once led our units to be segregated by skin color, the same kind of narrow-mindedness that keep women out of combat and silenced gay service members. They're even using the same outdated, discredited excuses, claiming that more diversity will lead to less unit cohesion, an argument that has been debunked time after time after time, including just this spring by this same administration's own Joint Chiefs. Look, 15 years ago this November, an RPG blasted through my aircraft in Iraq. And when I found myself sitting in that field where we landed a couple hundred yards from where the bad guys were jumping into their pickup trucks and headed towards us, and I was bleeding out in that aircraft, I didn't care if the guys risking their lives to save me were gay, straight, transgender, black, white, male, or female. All that mattered was the American flag on that shoulder and that they did not leave me behind. So if you're willing to put your life on the line for this country and you can do the job, you should be able to serve, no matter who you love or how you identify. Since Japanese Americans fought for this nation even while their loved ones sat trapped in internment camps here on U.S. soil, since women refused to be grounded, smashing through glass ceilings to fly missions, delivering the aircraft needed to help topple the Nazis, since black service members risked their lives for the same country that forced their children to attend segregated schools and their families to sit at segregated lunch counters back at home, and since Perry Wilkins stood in uniform as a proud gay man refusing to be forced out of service because of who he loved, our differences have made us a more effective fighting force. Scientific research, four-star generals will tell you the same thing. When everyone looks and acts and thinks the same, you become stuck, flat-footed, insular. You lose the ability to be creative. Diversity leads to more problem solving and more success. It's a better expression of who we are as a country, of course, but it also makes us better to execute our missions downrange. So with fewer people enlisting as the years go on, and even fewer young people qualifying for military service due to various conditions, we should be celebrating every person who chooses to serve. We should be honoring the transgender service members who love this country so much they are willing to die for her. But instead, this administration is turning them away, forcing them out, and trying to erase the memory of what these Americans have done for this nation. All the lives they've saved, the missions they've completed, the good they've accomplished, and the tragedies that they have prevented. This ban was callous, but it is also dangerous. Because let's be perfectly clear, our military is the greatest the world has ever seen, not in spite of our differences, but because our different backgrounds and abilities make us stronger. Bigotry has no place downrange, and winnowing our military in this way weakens our forces and imperils our nation. Like all of you today, I love this nation. I was ready to die to defend her. I still am. But the reality is, we will never be the more perfect union our founders dreamed of until we learn to actually, truly embrace the power of our diversity as a nation, until we stop discriminating against people simply because of who they are. Because diversity isn't just a feel-good issue for 1 month of the year. Diversity makes us smarter, it widens our perspectives, it makes us better, it shatters our assumptions, and it makes us stronger, as it both expands the talent pool that we can draw from and deepens our bonds, leading us to treat as equal those who look, love, pray, love differently than we do ourselves. From Congress to the DoD to the school PTA, no group can make a fully formed decision if women, people of color, and folks who identify as LGBTQ are not properly presented at the table. In politics, we have a saying, if you're not seated at the table, you're on the menu. And while we may live in the greatest country in the world, while we may have the most powerful military on the face of the earth, the strength of our nation does not stem solely from the size of our defense budget, which I did just vote for. No, 750 billion, guys. No, the true strength of our country lies in our values, in what we represent to the rest of the world. America is already great because America is already good. We're the nation that elected Harvey Milk, a nation where the daughter of a janitor can become the first openly gay female mayor of Chicago. We're an Army officer who'd once been silenced under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, celebrated her promotion to Brigadier General by having her wife pin her first star on her uniform. We are a nation that refuses to accept the status quo if the status quo does not accept all of us. Yes, there have been points when this union has been anything but united. And yes, we've had times when bigotry has prevailed, when we've mistreated our neighbors because of the differences between us. But time after time, we have refused to give in to that darkness. The miracle of America is that when it looks like the worst instincts are set to prevail, we come together and demand better of ourselves, of each other. Gay, straight, transgender, white, black, Asian, Latino, you name it, we speak out. We crowd outside Stonewall Inn and we march down Pennsylvania Avenue. We bend the moral arc of the universe, not waiting for anyone else to do it for us. We demand justice, fairness, equality. We show courage, and we take pride in who we are, celebrating our differences, yet always finding commonalities among us. So thank you for all that you do, for serving this nation so faithfully, for helping to make it that more perfect union, more equal union that we know it can be. Happy Pride. God bless all who wear this uniform of this great nation and their families. And always, God bless the greatest democracy on the face of the earth, the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Duckworth, both for those inspiring words and in particular for the positive vote on the defense authorization. We do appreciate that. So please, once again, please accept a very small coin